The Yankees are only 2 wins away from the World Series, which makes me sick to my stomach. I'll be joined by Yankees fan and fellow degenerate Big Tone here on this episode of the Scho-Zone. All right, everybody, welcome to the Scho-Zone. It's your host, Ryan Schofield, coming at you from the DeGen. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Real quick, like, subscribe, comment, share, all the douchebag stuff podcast hosts say. I'm just going to get right into it. We don't even lube it up on here. Fuck, we don't even spit on it. We're just going to go right to it. Welcome to the Scho-Zone, Mr. Big Tone.
What's up, buddy? How are you? Thanks for
I wasn't sure if I was going to take your thunder and say Big Tone here, or I was going to let you do it.
Yeah, no, Big Tone here. Big Tone here. Yeah,
no, Big Tone. I was even kind of like emulating it today. I stopped by Rivers for my little daily sessions that I have. Yeah, I've taken this detour from exit 9 to get back to Colony. That's takes about double the time, but you can stop right by there. So I've been filming myself play video blackjack there because if you actually have a little bit of discipline, you can make a little quick hit and get out of there. And you can see when the bad run of cards is coming. Like today, I had it where I was kind of tricking around, like I was up like a unit or two, for my bets, and then I had the one big double down hand that kind of went against me, and then I was like, all right, one last big hand, and then I ended up losing half what I brought there. But usually my goal is I'll put in with 100 and I get out with 200. Today I just left with 50, but it is what it is.
Nothing wrong. It's better leaving with 0. Like you said, it's like anything else. If you got a little discipline, like you mentioned, fellow degenerate, but you can't win gambling unless you're doing like 1 game a week, 2 games a week. Other than that, I mean, the volume's where it gets you. But the casino's a different animal altogether.
With the volume, it's the swings you have to be willing to stick. You have to have that bankroll set aside. Like I actually have a big volume thing I've been doing. I was actually, let me get my little banner going here.
Whatever the plan is, you just essentially have to stick to it,
And that's what most people don't do. But so here's the thing, though, is that not drinking really, really helps that one out because, it's drinking and gambling is some of the most fun you can possibly have. It's fucking also the worst.
Could be very bad.
It's like, okay, usually, and then there's the other third element that can get involved in there sometimes too, which gambling is like its own third element, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you want to have a clear head when you're gambling for sure. Like you said, if you have money set aside, like going and gambling with your buddies at a bachelor party is very different than what you're talking about, like what you're doing right now, it sounds like,
Right. Like there's times like I mentioned with somebody, I was on another show where it's like, you go to a casino, you maybe put a couple $100 on the table. You never expect to see it again, but while you're there, you're getting drinks, you're throwing tips, you're living the life up for like 2 or 3 hours. And then when you eventually crap out, you're like, well, that was fun. You at least got an experience out of it. If you happen to leave with something, but going to a casino to hang out is a fucking horrible idea. Like, I don't like going to a casino with anybody.
No, I would listen, one day, it's like you get there with your buddies at like 4:00 or whatever. You have dinner, you go gamble, you drink, you stay the night, you get the fuck out of there and go golf and go do something else. That's the only way to go to the casino. I mean, obviously, Vegas and whatnot is a whole other animal, but yeah, the least amount of hours. Like my rule is, if I'm going to the casino, you got to mix something else in. You can't just be gambling for 8 fucking hours. So you got to go golf. You got to go look at the town. You got to do something.
Yeah, no, and I actually, so funny enough though, I was just mentioning this. I filmed a little short of this one. You and I, we actually have a bit of a past with each other, but we've only ever actually met in person one time, and that was at said casino. That's Rivers Casino in Schenectady,
right.
Which is like, what of all the genius ideas, like what a degenerate area to put one in is fucking like, I see some prominent people in the area there, and it's like, there's, we don't care. They're just one of us.
I'll tell you, when that was all going on around here, it was like between here and like East Greenbush and I think somewhere else too, but came down to like those two, I believe. And I remember wanting it so fucking bad because it was before you could gamble on your phone. So I was like, when that place first opened up, every Sunday morning, Saturday morning when football was going, lines out the fucking doors.
Like March Madness in Vegas.
Crazy, dude. Like talking like people, you're getting there at 7:30 and waiting in line for 30 fucking minutes. Like It was crazy. It was bad at first as far as time took, got more efficient. It's like the second they purchased all these kiosks, DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, it was all legal now on your phone. So that place, I think this casino is probably taking a hit since, gambling on your phone has gotten legalized.
Yeah, but you know what? It's still a good place to hang out. Like, even if I stop there where there's a couple games going on, like there's nothing like sitting in a sports book, like the juice in there. Like, you ever been there when like when the house loses?
Yeah.
I remember in the Mirage one time in Vegas, me and my buddies were out there for March Madness, and like everybody had, it was like a Texas, I want to say maybe Texas, it was a March Madness game. We used to go there. No, was it March Madness? I used to go to Vegas for the conference tournament week. That's the cheat code. Because you get the same experience of March Madness. There's actually games being played in town, and you pay like fucking a third of the price.
Sometimes I kind of like that week better from like a gambling standpoint anyway, too. You know what I mean?
At this point, I even said it when once I got older than the players, I started trusting it less. And now the way that the players are, I really trust it less. Like March Madness is just like, okay, like we're going to take this paycheck and it's just gone. It's going to go for quite a ride. There could be some ups and downs, but most likely where it's like, because even when I knew college basketball and versus I don't now, it's all the same. Like you can just I just look at college basketball, as long as you know the coaches. And now the coaching trees. Like you're like, oh, who's coaching that squad? Oh, he played under such and such. He's an extension of that coach.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. But now, like, we're getting to the age where it's the guys' kids. You know,
right? I mean? That's the other thing too. But like, at least before, these guys had something like the NIL is why I can't even bet on college sports anymore. The inconsistency week to week. I mean, most sports are getting very difficult to bet on. Like baseball which is probably the hardest sport to bet on routinely, is the only one I feel like you're getting pure results out of.
I don't know. I think they're all the game is still like the game, and players are still players. Like especially in the college level, it's if you have enough guys, your team's typically better, right? But you're seeing a lot more parity this year because of all the NIL, and it doesn't. You can go to fucking Colorado and make $8 million. You can go to all. It doesn't have to be a Power 5 school, and the conference realignment and all that. I mean. It's just the most electric thing to bet on, though, because it's fucking you're never dead in college football. The over is never dead because they can snap off points. Like I just kind of like the college football atmosphere. So
that's the best thing we have to offer to the rest of the world. Like I actually started getting into soccer because of my weekend schedules I have. Like I wake up in the morning, I fucking watch the Premier League and whatever, Italy and whatnot. Yeah. And like anytime there's large crowds of people that give a shit, that's really going to draw me in regardless. And college football crowds are basically our best presentation of, that to the rest of the world, I would say.
Dude, it's true. I was just,
we don't see people punching each other out on the fucking streets like we do in the NFL every day. Or like, I've been to one NFL game in my life. We got in a fight in the parking lot. I'm like, never again.
Was it a Philly game?
No, it was a Bills game, and it was Bills on Bills crime.
Yeah, I can see that.
I gave up on the Bills a long time ago. Like I was a Bills fan when I know Tone through, we had a mutual friend I lived with in college that I ended up in a fantasy baseball league with. I moved out to Brockport. Part of that was because I was supposed to play lacrosse, which that didn't fucking work out because I like to, tip him back a little bit too much and being a little bit undersized. But the other part too was I wanted to be close to the Bills. And once I started living amongst Bills fans, like this was in the early 2000s up until during their drought, I just couldn't stand being around them. Like they're just really not my favorite group. It's just that you couldn't tell them that they sucked when they sucked. Like I wish, like the Cardinals, my favorite team, they fucking are going to suck for the next couple of years as far as I'm concerned. Breaks my heart.
I'm a blind loyalty kind of guy though when it comes to I've been defending Daniel Jones for 8 fucking years. So I'm one of those guys.
I don't mind Daniel Jones as much as everybody else, but the thing is, you can't win an argument trying to tell him that he doesn't suck. It's like, nah, I just think that if he had and you're making every excuse in the sun for him, but I like the guy too.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying I think it's kind of like Bills fans. It's like, fuck you, buddy. That's our squad, But
I was a Bills fan at the time too, and I'm like, can't we admit we suck? Like, like when you draft J.P. Losman and you say, oh, we drafted him, we traded up to get him because we thought he would be the number 1 pick the next year. Like, on what fucking planet was J.P. Losman going number 1 overall? That was a thing that happened out there.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened out there. I mean, the Bills, like the Jets, like the Giants, like a lot of franchises, have had their ups and downs. but you might be the first person I've ever heard say doesn't like the people, doesn't like the fan base. That's crazy.
It's a rough hang, and again, so you live out there amongst them. Like, put it this way, you judge a group of people by their worst members, and just like, the shenanigans, like the town I lived in, they would send buses out to Buffalo. I mean, that was when there was a little thing of that, things used to happen organically that were crazy at Bills games. But then once we started posting videos and seeing them, people started doing we're going to go to Bills games to do something stupid kind of thing. And it lost all of its luster. Not that it ever really was there. And I always feel like the Bills Mafia didn't know that the joke was on them. They weren't in on the joke kind of thing. Like, they were being clowned on. And I mean, it is what it is now. Now they're good, and I can't, go in there. And I like them now too. I don't mind them. I like Josh Allen. I think that Amari Cooper, I don't think that's going to pay dividends immediately, but I think that, when they get to the playoffs, if they, most likely get to the playoffs, that's going to be the thing that'll help them out a lot, because you need to have at least one go-to guy, and they don't have it until they got Cooper.
I mean, I think they've addition by subtraction. I think they all are playing better as a team without Diggs. So
100%. Yeah, I will never disagree with that one.
The Cooper thing's fucking ginormous, obviously, but the Knox, Kincaid, the way they run the ball, Josh Allen dual threat, they've got a lot of good things going on, and it seems like they're fucking gelling this year.
The thing that just kills me, though, is the fucking coach, and this is for the history of the NFL.
I fucking can't stand him either.
Well, first off, you have a fucking, and I mean, we use the term loosely because, Trevor Lawrence was a generational talent once upon a time, but Josh Allen is kind of a generational talent in his own sense. There's not going to see, he's white Cam Newton to an extent, and that's what I always think about Daniel Jones too, but I also think that Josh Allen's maybe got about 2 years before he starts not looking so good, because you can't I don't care how big you are, and I use Cam Newton as the example. You get beat around like that, you just ain't going to get back up eventually.
But he's gotten better at it this year. He's not. We haven't seen.
Did you see the hit he took against the Ravens?
I saw him take the hit, but I'm saying we're already week 6 in. He's got no turnovers, which means he's protecting the ball a lot more.
He still wanted to. Did you see against the Jets when
I know, but you're moving the goalpost. You can't say one thing and then another.
The results are in his favor right now, but he still has that same. And the most ridiculous ever, they still probably could have made a game against that with the Ravens. What are you doing when you're handing it off for 7 balls a clip and you have 7 yards a clip, and then they fucking call if you're going to have your quarterback throw a pass, let him take it under center.
Fair. But I guess what
that's nothing to do with him.
I think what we've all wanted out of Josh Allen was just chill the fuck out a little bit. And I think he's done it. I think he has. He's still got to be Josh Allen. He's still got to do what you're talking about, being that generational player. And sometimes that means getting in there and letting these cocksuckers know,
But here's the thing: is that what I will say is that I love where the Bills fans and Josh Allen is that I've never seen where a player and a city just really are that much together. Where I think if you propose this agreement to the Bills, you get one final year of Josh Allen and it results in a Super Bowl, and then Josh Allen never plays again. Everybody signs off on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even Josh would be like, "Yep, I'll get my Super Bowl here, and I'll go off into the sunset."
I think he would. I mean, having the $260 million contract helps that, I would imagine. But
he strikes me as one of those guys that doesn't even. He strikes me as a guy that doesn't even check his bank account.
Still doesn't mean it's not cool,
Oh no, it's amazing. It's fine, but I mean, I don't think that he's necessarily in it for the money as much.
No,
it's one of the guys that just seems like he has love of the game, and I don't think there's many people have that anymore.
For sure. I think the other thing is, like you said, they're. That's what's cool about sports, is the whole city just like loves the dude. It's like it does matter, I would like to think Aaron Judge is fucking being like, hey, I want to win this one for Tom. I would like to think that. So
I will just say that the last thing on Bills fans, we'll kind of move along, is that I had to work with Bills fans. Okay. So when they're not good, every Mondays already fucking suck. And then you have fucking pissed off Bills fans. The refs did this. They hate us, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's not fucking, like that. That's when fans lose me. It's always the refs. Everyone's against the Bills. It's like, even when the Bills started becoming popular, they're on primetime TV like 5 times a year now. And they're like, oh, they're still against us. It's like, why? They love you guys now.
I will say, though, that is the difference between like fandom and gambler. And obviously the two coexist. But when you gamble, you learn to kind of like disassociate certain stuff, because you'll you can't bet the Giants every week to win. You know what I mean? So
it's
like, yeah. So you have to separate yourself. So that's probably why you're looking at it from like a logical standpoint. I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's very similar to Tua when he was healthy. And you're like, yeah, not you in general, but just like the public, like, yeah, they're a fun team. Not sustainable. They're not going to go anywhere. And Dolphins fans would be in your dick about it last year. And now it's like, their quarterback's hurt and the rest of their team is a trash bag. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, their coach is really the fucking nightmare there, I would say.
That's another thing, too. He's not so cool anymore.
Well, it's hilarious that the defensive coordinator, he was the offensive coordinator, allegedly. Apparently, he was just like ran analytics for the running game for Shanahan when he was over there. And Robert Saleh was this can't-miss defensive coordinator, and both of them will be unemployed by the end of the year. Well, Saleh is. McDaniel will be done at the end of the year, I bet you.
I don't think the only thing I'll say is he might have one more year in him because of the quarterback. But Tua can't play football anymore, right? Like, anyone who loves him's got to be like, dude, maybe sit this one out. Like, how many times we got to see it?
Well,
I get it's hard, but
it's hard. The thing is that I think we just he's not the most concussed quarterback we've ever seen. It's just that he's
just shit. It's the
ones that get to those. But we've changed our mindset this one so much. I'll never forget on a Sunday night football game, like probably when I was in high school or something. Or no, I wouldn't have been in high school. This would have been like grade school. Stan Humphries took a hit for the Chargers. And they put the camera down on him and watched his pupils dilates, like in the zoom shot. And they were like, "Oh, he's feeling that one." And it's
no, for sure. You got jacked up. Yeah, I got it.
Well, I mean, like Jim Kelly ate like 20 times the concussions that Tua did. I mean, maybe not the greatest example. I mean, but
for sure. But all brains aren't created equally, and that guy's body is moving in a way that says something's getting so scrambled. We've seen a lot of people get knocked out. The stretched out, like he's a UFC fighter stuff, it's just a tough look. I get it, but the NFL's, they don't care. But I don't know.
I mean, honestly, the NFL, I have a hard time watching it anymore, and it's only the gambling that's keeping it going for me. And so what I do now is I'm sucked. You can see my record scrolling across there. Last year I did an episode bragging about how I finished 55% in one of the DraftKings contests and took down some money. And I usually do kind of go, you just got to find the one game you like every so often. Like, instead of betting all these parlays and all these dumb things, just find one game you like, throw a couple $100 down on it, and just let it go.
That's like, so I've been kind of doing the same thing all year. Like, win one, lose two, win one, lose one, like just back and forth. And this week, I love the Chargers. I loved Green Bay, and I love
Green Bay too.
So and then I had like I like those touchdown plays, but shrinking the card especially in the NFL, it's so fucking hard to win in the NFL. Like you said, if you like one or two games, you win, great. You lose, so be it. You just got to kind of ride it out.
So this is like I'm going to call on both sides of my mouth out of this one. We talked about how the casino before, gambling was so much better when back in the day when you had a real bookie, because guess what? Action was in before kickoff, and that was it. None of this sitting there, fucking cash out. But I will say that we're just trying to make money. We're not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. In-game wagering is where it's at, because I look at in-game wagering as it's like I'm playing blackjack and I get dealt my cards and then I choose if I want to bet or not, because I can say if this happens and I see this number, I am pouncing on it. And I usually find that I'm probably right on that, because usually as soon as I'm putting that bet in, or as I'm putting that bet in, the number is moving the way that I wanted it to, the other way.
I would have to agree with you, because I think that's another reason I kind of like college football in-game wagering, because you get to kind of see what's going on, like now it can change on a dime depending on home field versus away. Like, but for example, if you're a home team and you go down 7-0, and I'm like, they're going to come back and fucking steamroll this team. Like, I think I did it like week 2. Alabama losing to A&M and ended up coming back and winning by 17. So, you look for little spots like that, but it's live game things. It is a gut play though.
It's no, I think so, because this is what I do when I watch football, man. I don't watch the quarterback. I watch the line of scrimmage. And if I see one side pushing the other side a little bit more than the other one, they're going to show you what happened with the skill position players in 5 replays because, anyone that thinks that baseball is boring to watch, I think that football, when you really look at what the actual broadcast consists of, I think that baseball is way more entertaining. But I'm on an island on that one.
You're definitely on an island. I mean, I'm a baseball guy too, so I mean, I get the little intricate. I like the little intricacies of the game too, and it's not boring. There's always something going on. It's just a different sport altogether. But football is just,
the pitch clock is the greatest thing that's ever happened, and I fought it tooth and nail.
Yeah, I still don't understand the bases being bigger, but the pitch clock is the best thing that's ever happened to baseball.
So it's weird, and you're probably not going to like the name I'm about to bring up right now, but I listened to an interview with Theo Epstein, who's really, really been big on getting these rules changed. And he kind of admitted, he's like, look, we kind of ruined baseball with the shit we were doing because there were certain numbers that held true in baseball as far as, league batting average and, amount of time between balls put in play. They are the only ones that are being proactive or, reactive to things and changing the rules to try to get it back to where it was, where other sports are like, hey, this is just a different game now. Like when you watch football now, I encourage you to do this. Go onto YouTube and just type in a fucking random game from the mid 2000s. Watch it before you watch football on Sunday. You're not going to recognize it.
No, it's very different. That's for sure. I mean, just even the schemes, right?
It's slip screens, bubble screens, and now every field goal kicker can kick it. So it becomes like a field goal kicking contest unless somebody breaks a tackle or you get a flag to extend a drive, it seems like.
I mean, but it's kind of just, it's just like anything else. It's just changing. Like basketball is the same way. When I grew up, there was a center and you threw it in and you worked the ball inside out. Now it's like there's not a ton of big dudes. I mean, they're all big dudes, but you know what I mean? Like a traditional center. And it's slowly started to try and creep back in the last couple of years. But for the longest time, I mean, it's the 3-ball. It's the 3-ball, the 3-ball, the 3-ball.
It's because the thing is, I did a show with this guy in Atlanta that's going to be posted soon. And it's, we can't be Shaq. We can never be unless you're that big. But everyone can shoot from far away like Steph Curry. I mean, he can only make them better than everybody else. But now every kid that plays basketball, now every NBA game to me looks like when I played pickup ball.
Yeah, no, it's just like Kobe. You're shooting from the far
it's that for sure. But no, I mean football. So this is what I've been doing, and your Giants actually fucked me on this really big. I discovered this one last year, and I now have some reason. And I was talking to Vic about it, and of course, he's like, I don't like jumping on a good trend like that, when it's going to bite back, and it did last week. I have just been taking every game, each team to win by 1 to 6 points. It's the greatest fucking way to watch a game because now I can just it's tough to pick these games. I mean, especially when the season starts off with what we looked at week 4, just throw it out. The Ravens stuck for 2 weeks. Now the Ravens might be the best team in football.
Right. Well, and it's the games have been close. Well, depending on what you're looking at, but I feel like that 1 to 6 has been in play.
It's been so. I'm looking across the bottom here. It's at 47.8% of the games. It was at 51.9. We had a bad week last week, but usually the way it's priced out is if you have 2 fairly close teams, you're getting plus 300 around each way. So you make it equal unit size on them. You're looking to get plus 150 if you win that game. Now that you get a couple upsets here and there, like when the fucking Broncos beat the Jets as a 7.5 point dog and won by 1 point, that was plus 650 for me. The fucking Giants. And this is what kills me is that, I mean, you're never going to have this coached up to tell them, hey, if you block this extra point or block this field goal, don't run it back.
Right.
But if they didn't do that, that was going to be even more fucking, I was going to go gangbusters that week. But that was a plus 550 swing, which is hilarious, though, is that they kneel on it instead of going for the 2-point conversion because they're worried about. And that's the thing that's killing me is how everybody is so analytically sound that it's almost taking away from the game so much where you just scored a touchdown and you're not going to go for the extra point because you're worried about the other team having time to score again. If that's the case, you shouldn't have scored, but you're not going to tell the fucking guy on the special temes, hey, if you happen to have a scoop and score and nothing but daylight, just take a knee on somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think, no, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, I mean, I don't know what you're looking for out of there's coaching errors, there's flags, there's the game itself can be tough to watch it, to gamble on it. Like you said, it sounds like you got a pretty decent strategy. Just fuck it, and you can just look at your phone to make sure the games are close, and stay within that 1 to 6. But like you said, you're still sweating it because now it's every little play. I feel like that might be a harder watch now that I'm thinking about it. I was trying to process.
Because you know what, though? Here's my favorite thing, though. When you start seeing the NFL's rigged crowd, when there's the backdoor touchdown that gets it inside the number, that's good for me. When the team decides not to score, that's good for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is true. And the NFL is rigged.
And well, that's a different discussion. But and as I would also kind of go too, is that even just the way, like, I used to play the Wong teasers. You know what those are?
Yeah.
So you can't do those anymore now because 7 is a dead number now for the most part because everybody or not everybody, the Commanders don't do this. And Sean Payton's lost his fucking goddamn mind with how he manages being down by 2 scores this year I've seen. But teams are going for 2 there, so you're getting more in there. But I like the 1 to 6 because what's happened is the game has gotten shorter. Because if you look at it right now, we have the highest completion percentage, but the lowest lowest yards per play, and we have very, very bad red zone efficiency. So it's a lot of kicking field goals, and the clock is moving.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is too is like the clock is moving, but I know we don't want to get into the conversation, but the refs just play a crucial part of the football game.
They don't start officiating the game until the 4th quarter.
It's crazy.
Then all of a sudden they just make these very pronounced calls. I do get that. Put it this way. This last week, they took a bath on the fucking on the Bills, I guess, beating the Jets.
I think the whole week.
What's up?
I think the whole Sunday. I think they took a bath all last week.
Yeah, it happens. And of course, go figure. This is the way I like to look at it. My worst week is the book's worst week. I like being on the book side.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that was one thing, like you mentioned before, about having bookies and stuff. You could only really bet it a few ways. So it kind of simplified some things for you. And
right. Exotic parlay was fucking betting the over-under and the team to win on the money line, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. Maybe an adjusted line here or there. That was about it.
Which, I never really cared for the movie so much because but Uncut Gems is responsible for the same game parlay.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And dude, those fuckers knew what they were doing. Because remember when they first came out with the books, how juicy the payouts were on those? Like,
crazy.
And then all of a sudden, it's like they just started cutting down, like, big time, like shit. And actually, there's some actual accounts, like for hockey. I don't really know much about hockey, but there's that one account, Top Cheddar.
Yeah.
For the longest time, it was just printing money following this guy. And then all of a sudden, they actually figured out, oh, shit, because if you ever really pay attention to the betting industry, nobody knows how to line hockey.
No, I don't even bet a lot of hockey. Like it's
I bet shots on goal. That's
it.
Go. That's that. And that was mostly because of them. And you just kind of, hey, this guy doesn't need to score, but he's going to take a lot of shots.
Yeah, no, that's not. And you're just rooting for shots. It's like points. It's just that. I don't.
So the points thing. I'm also. This is what we must be that much different. I like to bet unders if I can. Like everyone says, oh, it's rooting for nothing. I play defense in sports, so I think watching nothing happen sometimes can be fun.
It depends. I don't mind betting unders and stuff like that, but I'm just saying if you're not watching the game every second, or if you're watching something, rooting for shots on net or shots on goal are pretty. That's a good watch. You're just rooting. It doesn't even need to go in. You're just rooting for shots, right?
Yeah, just let this guy get let the guy get the puck, But that's also hockey's tougher though because unless you're really into hockey, you never know when your guy's on the ice.
I would be drinking and just yelling "shoot" it the whole time. I think if I bet that.
That's pretty much what you do when you bet an over in basketball.
So. Yeah, it's true. That is true.
The basketball is just the ultimate, and the NBA, it's like you can't even feel like really good. And actually, football's turning into this too. Is that like let's just wait till the last 5 minutes because shit's gonna get really, really weird at the end.
Yeah.
Like how many times did you had a team up 20 points and then all of a sudden you're like. You're already kind of counting it, and then all of a sudden the little run happens. They're down 6, and like once that team goes down, but basketball in game, when you can see that momentum swing happen, that's when you can jump in there on some good in-game numbers.
You can't even watch the NBA until like the 4th quarter with like 5 minutes left,
and you really can't even watch it until the playoffs.
Yeah, that too.
But it's hopefully they're apparently they're going to try and incorporate some more FIBA style rules and maybe bring defense back, which maybe will make things interesting. I at one point in time considered myself a bigger NBA fan than any other game out there. I was really that enamored and into it. Like Thursday night games, I used to be like, who's on this week? Now it's like, who gives a shit? Like, first off, who's even playing? Like,
right. I think. Let's see here. So, well, let me ask you this. Because you were talking about betting different sports and talking about what was harder and what was not. Like, what's your go-to in baseball?
Baseball. So I have a couple of, dude, this is one that me and my buddy discovered a while. But first, I usually like to have a pitcher, the pitchers I like and the pitchers I hate. That's kind of a big one I go off of. I mean, you can get burned by bullpens, but that's always the worst. Bullpens, I swear, like, you should probably just bet whatever team is trailing in the ninth inning. Like, it just seems like that you're going to get great odds on that. But I had one with me and my buddy, or he's like exclusively, he owns a ton of Shohei Ohtani memorabilia.
Oh, shit.
We discovered that it was a random thing. He's like, I always feel like I'm winning bets on Shohei on Sundays or like that. We started calling it Sunday Shohei. And then I looked at, well, they're always in the day. You can look at the splits on Shohei Ohtani for some strange reason, maybe because he's from the land of the rising sun. He plays so much better in daytime than he does at nighttime. It's fucking wild. He has like, he's basically got like almost a Barry Bonds on steroids OPS during the daytime. And then he's just got like an all-stars OPS during the nighttime.
No shit. That was a good
little trend that I picked up on. And honestly, certain guys, like, I mean, my one buddy, he went a little further with it. If Ohtani went a day without a hits, he'd bet him to get 2 total bases the next day. It's total bases is kind of the way I go. Like looking at some pitching matchups here and there. I like that a little bit more just because now, again, we can't even really with managers in baseball are just as much on crack as football coaches.
Very hard to bet pitching stuff. You're right.
Because, I mean, you know, I'm used to a guy. I mean, fuck, I just saw a clip the other day of Maddox when he got his 10th win for the Padres. And it was like, you know, like whatever, how many years he'd had 10 wins for 10 different teams. And it's like he pitched 7 innings and whatnot. I'm like, fucking 40-year-old Maddox can make it 7 innings. And these guys fucking struggle to get through 6.
Yeah. Well, that was like Rendon the other night. I was like, oh, he's going to go 7. And then he pitched 2 great innings. And all of a sudden he's yanked. Sure, he had 9 Ks. But
whatever he took before the game wore off.
Yeah, exactly.
He was on something. I'll tell you that much.
He was juiced the fuck up. That's for sure. I mean
the crowd of the Yankee Stadium is certainly I'm sure of a hell of a drug, you know, to be on when you're got that crowd behind you.
Yeah, I mean, he was throwing like 99. I mean, it was crazy.
But I remember one time he played against the Cardinals and he was throwing 99, but the Cardinals were sitting first pitch fastball and fucking destroyed him. It was actually the game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, his stuff was live for the first 2 innings. And then he just, like you said, he just decompressed. and look at the other night, obviously. But no, there's the reason I asked about baseball is because obviously the Mets play the Dodgers tonight. And I was just like, you know, it's a tough series for me to like. I feel like, you know, like you said, the Ohtanis of the world, but I like to look for value in some of these other guys like a Max Muncy and guys like that. So
Pete Alonso's plus 160 tonight to have 2 total bases. I mean, that guy can run into a fucking fastball, you know. Yeah. And Walker Buehler is not exactly the guy that I want out there if I'm a Dodgers fan right now.
I would have to.
I'm telling you, I mean, he got away with it on fucking game 1, but I still will tell you that Jack Flaherty is not the fucking guy. He's not a big game pitcher, and I can tell you that from watching him in St. Louis. I think the Mets made it very, very easy for him the other day. I mean, yeah, he had his 1-2-3 inning, but when Senga gives you no chance right out the gates, like that's a real weird predicament in the playoffs where it's like, you know, that guy gives you no chance, but do you pull him in the first inning, which they should have.
They 1,000% should have, because he looked like he had nothing from fucking Jump Street too.
And that's I'm not a big Yankee guy, obviously. Like, and it just reminds me of one time I was down at the stadium, the old stadium, when Jose Contreras didn't make it out of the first inning against the Orioles, gave up 5, booed to fucking, you know, well, the 10,000 people that were there for the first inning were booing like crazy. And then all of a sudden everybody shows up, stadium's filled up, and they come back and win, and everyone's, you know, and I'm just like, fuck these fucking guys.
That's one of my favorite stories. I actually, you know, this guy too, Cody Berschwinger. I think you know him. He's in our fantasy league with Brockport, but either way, he hates the fucking Yankees too. And he went to a game where it was 0-0 and Luis Sojo got hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. That's how the Yankees won. And it just made him hate the Yankees even more. He was like, it wasn't even a good game.
I was in Cleveland. It was my first time seeing Pujols live. They lost to the Indians at the time that night. And that was the day of the Luis Castillo dropped fly ball.
Oh, man.
That was, I swear to God, you would have thought, I mean, it's possible everybody in the fucking bar had money on the fucking Mets because they were so angry. Like, I went into a bar that night when we first got into Cleveland, and they were playing the Java Fly game, whatever the whole, the Minjins or whatever like that. They were playing that game, and I'm like, is this bar to show this game on an endless loop? Like, they really have the Yankees there. And that's going to be, I mean, the Yankees are clearly the better team, but I'm going to tell you, I traveled to 14 different ballparks this summer.
Oh, nice.
And I'd been to Progressive before, but Progressive has got a buzz to it itself. I mean, I was there, and it was like 2/3 filled. That's going to be a tough crowd. And who do the Yankees even throwing in that? Is it Gill or who's
Schmidt?
Schmidt 3?
Yeah, so Schmidt's going. But yeah, no, Cleveland's an electric fucking playoff atmosphere. Like, I remember just being a kid with like Manny Ramirez and Roberto Alomar and those squad, like that team. That Jim Thome. I mean,
that was a fucking squad. I mean, that was them against the Braves in the World Series. That was a hell of a, and then honestly, the Marlins. I mean, that's what's weird is that that Marlins team is so fucking good, but it was just a 1-year fucking project.
So good, 1-year project for sure. But man, they had that roster was filthy. They had dudes on that team.
Yeah, no, that was to me. I mean, baseball has been great for a while. Baseball is just a little bit different now, but that was when like the country was captivated by it still. And then I really think that a lot of that had to do with the falling out with ESPN. I mean, ESPN kind of was for a while the pulse of the sports nation, I would say. And once they look at one point in time, hockey was rivaling the NBA, and then the NHL stopped going on ESPN, and then the NHL fell off.
Yeah.
Baseball. The one meme I always loved, Baseball Tonight used to be an hour long and everyone watched it. And that's when we were a proper country.
Yeah, I don't even get. My whole thing is this too. It's like we'll watch football for 6 fucking hours. It doesn't matter if it's one game. It's like it doesn't. The sport. The only like the pitch clock is good. It's cleaned up a ton of dead clock, but I don't know. I still hate the extra inning rule.
The extra inning rule is god awful.
It's the worst thing on the planet. I still don't even know. Do they do that in the playoffs?
No, they don't do it in the playoffs. No, they did.
That was one rule. And then what was the other one I don't like? Oh, the throw over stuff. I don't like that you got to fucking throw it over three times, or you only have X amount of times. I guess that it creates an advantage for, the runner, but I don't know. There's just little stuff like that. The pitch clock, it's shown that, hey, we're just wasting some fucking time out there.
Right. Everyone said that, there are a lot of people complaining, oh, the game's over so quickly. We're not losing out on baseball, though.
The only thing that sucks about it is when you go to the game. Like, say you travel 2 hours away, you get there, you're there. You got to make sure everything's right on, because the game, if some of these games go to 2:30, like it's just. I
went to a bunch of games, and I actually, for the sake of that, I was doing day trips. Like, I mean, one of the advantages of living in the area that we do is that you can make a lot of ballpark in a day trip if you are a crazy man like me. So I drove down to DC and back in a day.
Yeah.
The game, it was probably the worst game. I now have a new least favorite team, actually, and it's the fucking Minnesota Twins. Out of all the cities I went to, Minneapolis was by far my least favorite. Or the Twins fans, like people in Minneapolis are just a couple brain cells short, I think, or something. Like it's I
was there for Ryder Cup, and I had a fucking blast. But that's
what year was it? I must ask though.
I was going 2018. It was
okay. So some things happened. I don't know if you remember, but some things happened in that city, and now it's not exactly as
familiar for sure. But what I was going to say is, I think the other thing was too is like. Everyone was just like America, that whole week. So that I think there was some commonality.
I was there, and like it's an aesthetically nice looking city, but then you kind of start walking around, you're like, okay, they just have it's amazing what a bad weekend can do to a place.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm walking around like in a major city going, where the fuck do they hide the coffee?
Yeah, no, there was a point when we were there where it's like, oh, this is nice. Like anywhere else, if you don't know where you're going, hang a wrong turn and you're like, this is not where we're supposed to be. I
get a little bit of excitement out of that, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, not anymore.
Well,
I don't want to be
this way. There's worse streets about a mile and a half from me right now than I would say that I've been in most of America. So
fair enough.
I'm not very far from certain parts of Central. So
yeah, no, it can. Well, listen, it's everywhere. It doesn't matter. Good things happen. Bad things happen in good places too.
But the thing is that I'm not drunk and I'm minding my own business and I'm aware of my surroundings. So
that's
nothing
what
bad
it is
happens.
too, right?
It's just, when you're a belligerent drunk and you look like you maybe are, don't know what's going on. That's when they find you.
Yeah, you're not a mark,
But I'm in Minneapolis and for starters, so I don't drink anymore. I ordered an NA beer and a coffee, and this lady looked at me like I had fucking shit crawling out of my head. And I'm like, look, I'm tired, but it's fucking hot and I like the taste of it. Okay. So go at this, but it was my incident with Target Field that I had was that there was they let I love that kids under a certain age can go to a ball game for free. That's awesome. I'm all for that. This one section I was sitting in seemed to have abused that privilege because I'm like, these are some big kids. And like, I have, I knew that my seat, I'm like, okay, like, all right, gave up my seat because there was a large group of people. But then all of a sudden, like more and more families started kind of pouring in. And I'm like, okay, now the seat that I gave up is actually somebody else's seat. And I'm going back to this guy and I'm like, hey man, I know I let you guys have my seat, but I kind of need this now. And the guy's looking at me like, oh, no, we're sitting here. And I'm like holding up my ticket to him. And I was like, you know what? There's like 20,000 other seats here. I'll go find another one. Okay.
Yeah, that's you got bullied by some kids, it sounds like.
I didn't get bullied by this was a grown man. This is a grown man. I don't know if he was drunk or maybe he was rode the short bus to the game or something, but he didn't seem to grasp that he was sitting in a seat that wasn't his as I was showing him the ticket that said it was my ticket.
Yeah, he could give a fuck less what that ticket said. I will say that is one of my favorite things to do, like when you go to another city and you're either by yourself or one other person, just kind of cruising around the ballpark, walking around, taking a look at it, seeing other places, watching anything over here, watching anything over there.
Absolutely. That. I mean, I was San Francisco. The one thing that sucked though is that I was sitting where I could have seen a splash shot, and if you go down to the field level, you can see the ball go over the wall, but then you don't know it went into the fucking you don't know that it went to the water until it is nice when these games have TV screens actually that you can see down at the field level. So you can watch the broadcast a little bit, kind of get a little idea what happened. I mean, probably the craziest thing I was at, I didn't even realize it, but I was at the game that James McCann wore a fucking fastball to the face where it was like, I actually have the video of it happening, like, or it was like, you don't even really like know, like you just heard the sound and then you saw the helmet pop off and you're like, okay, hopefully it hit him you're actually saying, hopefully it hit him in the head.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like, okay, he's not moving. And it's like, this could get a little scary. And then the motherfucker, I thought he left the game when they got down to first base. And I'm like, oh, wow, he did the Kobe, shoot your free throws and then walk off. No, he was just changing his jersey because all the blood that was on it.
Yeah, he had to get the blood off. They wouldn't let him play with the bloody jersey. He was hockey guying it that day, that's for sure.
But, I made my trip down to the Bronx. I was at a good game at the Bronx, actually. I was at the one where they beat the Rays pretty handily, where Jose Siri pimped a home run round in the bases.
Oh,
and then Juan Soto. I have a video of this one where he took 45 seconds to round the bases. Now, in fairness to him, I was sitting along the first baseline. We couldn't tell the ball was out for about 20 seconds. Like, you knew it had the distance. It was whether it was fair or foul.
Right.
He kind of stood there, but then he leaned into it. And we're going to talk about your guy, Judge. So I have nothing against Aaron Judge. Nothing against Aaron Judge. I just will say that it's amazing how at the games I went to, the big time players showed up big time. And I went to a game, I think Judge maybe had a single. But I saw when I went to Fenway, Devers had 2 home runs. Literally, this could have been any better. One of the seats I picked out at Target Field, I got a good seat to get a good video of Bobby Witt and Royce Lewis. Both of those guys homered in like their first at-bats. And I'm like,
great.
Ohtani, when I was down at Citi Field, he hit one, which that was like the highlight of, not one of the highlights of my summer. I loaded up on him for the total bases. I loaded up on him to hit a home run. And it came down to the final at-bat where it was one of those ones where the Dodgers had to get some guys moving along. And then he fucking opposite field just puts one over the wall. But Judge didn't do as much. And is he A-Rod?
Shut up. No, he's not A-Rod. I think
because the home run yesterday, it wasn't the most.
If he is A-Rod, I guess we're talking about a top 5 baseball player of all time, a 2009 World Series fucking champion. So if he's A-Rod, I'll take it. But I know what you're saying. I think yesterday was a little sigh of relief for him for sure.
But maybe that gets him going.
You saw a bunch of good baseball players this year, though, huh?
Oh, dude, I went around. I went to 16 different games. You know what the worst I saw was I was in St. Louis when the Cardinals lost 2 out of 3 against the fucking White Sox. That was fucking a pleasure. I saw the Cardinals play 3 games this year and saw them score 3 runs. If it wasn't for the fact I brought friends with me to Pittsburgh, I would have left in the 5th inning. And
the Whites, what a train wreck that club is. But no, I think Judge gets things going. And listen, he's still Aaron Judge. He's still playing a really good defense. He's still walking, gotten RBIs. What's hard to watch is every fucking game, it feels like Glaber and Soto get on in the first inning. He just doesn't do anything with it. So with that said, those were big insurance.
Soto hit 2 home runs at the game I was at, by the way.
Yeah, see, there you go. Stud. Funny how you left that out. But
Why would I? There was no point for me to mention it. Now I did.
No, I think at the end of the day, I think it's just like it is tough. I think the home run last night at home helped. I think them going away will help. And I'm reading stuff and hearing people be like, I mean, what if they lose to and win it back at home? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, just let's go win the games now. But
what's wild is people don't even know how long series are in baseball anymore. Can we go back to just all 7-game series, please?
I know
but none of this fucking bullshit wild card. Which I insist that rule was invented so the Yankees and the Dodgers never miss the playoffs. But then you make baseball's too random to let teams that don't belong in the party into the party.
Right. Well, I mean, but then you have the Rangers. Right,
Rangers and the D-backs were the last 2 teams in last year, I believe.
Yeah, they were. I mean, I don't know. It's hard because you can play all season long, and if you got 2 fucking studs pitching, 5-game series is tough.
You know what's funny about that is because I had a future I lost on the Phillies that I was like, you know what, despite what's happening, because they were basically just had a really good 2 months and then they were a 500 ball club the rest of the year pretty much. But I was like, once they get to that series, Wheeler and Nola, and then Bill James was actually the one that said, hey, listen, like I get the logic behind this, but look at the team's winning percentage with Zach Wheeler on the mounds. Which that was another thing too. When you're sucking his fucking dick in the fucking club in the locker or in the dugouts while the game's still going on and it's only 1-0, that's the in-game interviews need to go. Like when
they're fucking terrible. I don't even like as a fan. It's not even cool because I know they don't want anything to do with it. It's the most generic. Oh yeah, we're working hard. We're a team unit. It's just nothing burgers. Like let them just interview him after the game. Right,
seriously, especially with the Brewers game where, I mean, again, nothing happened of it, but there was like, they're interviewing the fucking whatever guy hit the home run. I forget his name because the guys from Milwaukee are forgettable. The guy hit the fucking pinch hit home run to go ahead, and they're talking to him, and like there's a play that it could have dropped for a hit in front of the basement, but it's like, yo, if his home run matters, it's going to be, you'll be able to talk to him in 5 minutes. Because if this game becomes tied, then his home run doesn't matter. You're not going to want to interview that guy anymore.
Also, it's like, asshole, I'm doing my job. I have to coach. I have to look at what's going on. Did he fall off the rubber funny? Is he hurt? Someone like he's got
There's another issue. The managers don't have to manage anymore because they just fucking get their spreadsheet results and fucking just go about it. Like, here's the thing I've been going on with this week with Mets fans is that I understand what you do for the 162 is one thing, but it's like, I'm sorry, but when I see Brandon Nimmo batting third in the NLCS, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I get it that, that's what worked for them all year, but it's a different game in those 7 games.
It is. It's like Yankee fans. I mean, we're marching out fucking Ian or Tim Hill and all these other guys. You don't want to out coach yourself, right? Like, I feel like we always say it in baseball, like, coaches maybe win 6 games a year, but they probably could lose you fucking 100. You know,
if you're a Cardinals fan, your fucking coach loses. Your man, Ollie Marmol. This is my take. I mean, I'm sure you don't follow them as closely as I do, or if you're aware. But the way I look at Ollie Marmol is he's a guy who either looks like he isn't getting laid or is not getting the quality of pussy he thinks he deserves because he's just got that look on his face. Like, I should be doing better than this.
That guy's the worst guy. The guy who thinks he should be out kicking his coverage, that guy's the worst. He sucks. So I'm sorry you're dealing with that.
I mean, really what sucks is that, they decided and, they missed their window when they got Goldie and Arenado. Like me and my buddy in St. Louis, we were like fucking Randy Quaid in fucking Major League 2, like all the way. They've won one fucking playoff, or they won one playoff series, and then they got swept by the Nationals. I think that was how that one went for.
But I mean, that's another team. When they're good, it's fun.
No, but so this is the way that, and this is, I knew this was going to happen, is that it's been a fucking false. The Cardinals have been selling bullshit, kind of the way the Bills used to sell it to me when I was a Bills fan, is that central division in both divisions. So this year I had a big action. And if you saw my pinned tweet on Twitter, I had a 22-1 on the Royals because that's a division that can be bought this year. Once they signed Waka and Lugo, I was like, they're actually going to make a run at this right there. I bet them 22-1 at that point in time. They were at one point leading the division, but by the time the season even started, they were down to like almost 7-1.
Yeah,
and you get a free seat. Somebody gets a free pass into the playoffs almost. I mean, the Royals, who played competitive with the Yankees, they were a below 500 team if it wasn't for the White Sox.
No, that's a smart thing to do too, and
The Royals will make a move. Like again, the Royals are Madison Bumgarner away from having back-to-back titles. Like
sure.
they made their run at the right time.
You're
They're a smart, savvy organization. But now when when you sign Bobby Witt to that contract, you're not just doing it to fucking sell the ballpark in a couple of years. You got to get something out of it.
But you also had to do that, right? Like, because that's a club who's historically not spent a ton of money on guys, and it's like you can't let that kid go. And now I think you're right. Now they're like, fuck, we got to do something with it because we don't want just a shiny car with a dog shit engine. They're gonna have to figure out something. But I think that's pretty smart of you to kind of try and figure out, all right, what division here, if the trades go the right way, who's just gonna kind of walk away with this thing? That's pretty heads up.
Well, because that's one of the things too is that back before they've kind of caught on to my game, but like when DraftKings was giving out those daily boosts and whatnots, well, dude, you just freaking start pounding. They used to just give you a 50% boost every day. Granted, it was only for a couple bucks, but like I remember, and I had to sweat this one out last year. I just had the Braves Astros parlay division winners for an entire month with my bet that they gave me. And it was a little dicey because the Astros didn't win the division to the last game of the fucking season. But like, that was like my little savings account I had.
No, and that is good. And this is what I will say about betting regular season versus now is that I do think coaching does matter a little bit more just based on like, hey, is this a guy who's more likely to yank a pitcher early or let his guys go? Is this a team that doesn't have as much bullpen work, so they have to rely on their starters? So I think there's some angles in there too. And right now they're giving out a bunch of different boosts and stuff like that for playoffs. So if you like something, one thing I'll say too that I think's helped this year, I guess I can talk out of both sides of my mouth for this argument is like, but the shift being fucking gone is okay. I get it. Hit it where they aren't kind of thing, right? But it has opened up things. There's nothing that killed me more than watching a ball go through the pitcher's legs and it's an out. You know what I mean? Like, because the shortstop's playing right up the fucking middle or three people over.
Most good shortstops end up in that spot anyway.
Making that play anyway. But I think there's stuff like that where, I think that's at least trying to get hitting back into the game, and not everything is 222 and a home run. But right now, I think there's some more consistency with the rosters like I said, there's DraftKings boost out there. Might not be a bad time to put a little boost play in.
So I just did one actually because I was actually going to ask you what we were going to do, and then I was like, I got to get this in anyways. But I just did I got the Mets tonight. You got them over? You got Sevy? You got your boy Sevy?
So I actually think Sevy's probably going to get his tits lit tonight. I have a tough. I love Sevy, and I wanted nothing more than Sevy to work out and be a New York Yankee and be a stud. And he was good when he was good, but man, he was just bad when he was bad because he was hurt, couldn't get healthy. When he's right, he's got electric fucking stuff. And we've seen with this Mets team the tale of two Sevys. We've seen the Cy Young looking stuff, and then we've also seen the bad news Bears stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was not going to kind of cut you up, but I actually think the way to play this is actually to wait to see if he gets through the first inning unscathed.
I was just going to say this.
But then you get to the bottom of that lineup, and then you can get right through it.
Right.
That's the whole thing that's good with the Dodgers. They're so top heavy. The Yankees are too, but the two guys, they're both very mirror images of each other. Is that we got these guys in the top, but when, just keep Stanton in fucking bubble wrap until the postseason, apparently.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. Really, I don't think the Yanks need to do much. You need to move Wells down to the lineup, put Rizzo back up. All else is fine. Leave Verdugo where he is. He's finally doing stuff, so leave him. You want to put Trevino behind the plate? You can't, because if Kwan gets on base, he's going to steal 4 fucking bags on you. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of walking Trevino out there because he just isn't good enough defensively. So I think the Yankees are it's not broken right now. Don't try and get too cute with it and tinker around. As far as tonight goes with Sevy, I'm with you. I'm not scared of Buehler either. I like the over in this baseball game. And I think we see some home runs. I know it's nighttime, but I think Ohtani makes a little bit of noise here, and I also like Teoscar Hernandez to make noise. And the only reason is because he's a playoff fucking player. This guy loves the moment, loves the playoffs. He does not have good numbers against. I was just looking at it just a minute ago. He does not have great numbers against Sevy, but you know, and we've already seen it. Big hit after big hit. He's a spark plug. And I like him over to 2 total bases tonight too. So
I went with Shohei and Lindor to get their 2 total bases and the Mets. It's like a plus 800, which is, to an extent, I only did it for a small amount because it's like I do like, actually, like, I haven't been betting quite as much. It is nice just to watch a game.
Yes, absolutely.
And I've even been telling my friends, like, I just started this thing, like, hey, like, let's make phone calls great again, because I'd rather fucking talk to you after the game than fucking be. Because then you get the other thing too is that, like, different parts. I might be watching the game 5 seconds ahead of you. Like, whenever my buddy in St. Louis, I'm always, even though he lives in St. Louis, I'm always like 15 seconds ahead of him. So I have to wait. So many times I have texted him and he's been like, dude, you gotta wait, man. Like, and I'm like, fuck. You
gotta learn to watch whatever so this happens. There's like 20 of us on fucking this Yankees text thread, but you gotta time it out to where it's like strike 3. It's like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Don't look at my phone. Like it's all part of the game. There's all adjustments. It's the playoffs. You got to adjust out there. What are you not going to talk to the fellas during the big game? You got to. But
it is
tough because sometimes I'll be doing a video and I'll just see bing, 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 bing. I'm like, oh, something just happened, and I fucking hate that feeling.
Like when you're playing, there's so many different apps you have going. Like your fantasy team, all of a sudden will pop up. Like I was convinced when I went to my first live game since this one, I was like, am I going to get a notification before I actually see the home run in the stadium? Like.
Every gambler sat down in the ballpark and they're like, today we beat the live book. We're here, baby.
Oh,
no,
dude.
It's unbelievable how quick.
Dude, do you still have an offshore?
What's that?
Do you still have an offshore?
So, yes. So
because I have taken advantage of the offshore.
They've gotten better. So that little trick was awesome about a year and a half ago for me and a couple of buddies. Pretty fucking awesome.
Well, and I understand that one pissed me off when March Madness was in fucking Albany because I had
that was another one, March Madness.
Well, so here's the thing is that I using all the booster like that. We fucking Miami makes the comeback against Drake, which, by the way, I've never seen a bigger discrepancy in my life than the Miami cheerleaders going on the courts and then followed by the Drake fucking cheerleaders.
Very, very different.
Here's some Instagram models, and now here's about 10 random girls from Midwest from fucking Iowa.
They were very, very, very different folks.
It was like But so I'm sitting there and I've got all of these fucking crazy. I wouldn't have won, but I never even had the chance to. If Kent State had beaten Indiana, I would have fucking probably. You might not be talking to me right now because I had this no way this hits $20 parlay that came down to one leg. I couldn't sign into my fucking book to fucking even look at I never hit cash out, but I couldn't even entertain the thought of it. Which I do even hate that we have the option of cash out because it's just. People just beat themselves up over it too much.
It's true. And I'm a big believer in not cashing out because I'm like, they want me to cash out. However, it depends on the bet, depends on the wager.
What your circumstances in life are. I say only hit cash out if it's going to really impact your life.
Yeah, for sure. Like, for example, this past week, I had a 3-teamer, or it's 3 first touchdown scorers. It was Kmet from the Buffalo Bills. It was Joe Mixon, and it was Sam Laporta. And Kmet scored in the 9:30 game. It is 2nd and 1. Joe Mixon gets stuffed twice. They end up throwing it to Tank Dell for a 1-yard touchdown. So I don't get it home. But that was a situation, if he scored that second touchdown, I would have cashed it out. Not that it would have changed my life, but it was like a $25 boosted bet. If I hit all 3, I would win like 30 grand. And they were already offering after 1 touchdown $534. So I was thinking I might pick up 3 grand if he scores. I was thinking I'll cash out the 3 grand, and then if I want to put 500 on Laporta to score, I can do it. If he scores first, so be it. But that would be a tough one for me, where it's a $25 bet to catch 3,000. That's tough. Like I can see where people take that chance, but
I'm in the weird thing of that. If I put down a bet like that, that money I never planned on seeing ever again. My 25.
That's
but
true.
It's also as I tell people sometimes, I wouldn't have made the bet if I didn't think it was going to win.
So the only reason I had a little pause was because I didn't realize David Montgomery also did not have a touchdown yet, and it fucked me up mentally because That's kind of what I track. I'm like, who's good and just not scoring enough as they should be, over the last few weeks. And I was all over Sam Laporta because he hadn't scored, and it was just a total over fucking sight of mine. So that spooked me. And sure enough, Sam Laporta didn't score the first touchdown. And also those, like you said, those are lottery ticket plays. Those aren't anything you can really count on. But that's also kind of where I'm coming from. I was like, well, I didn't plan on seeing this money, and 30 grand's cool, but what is the likelihood? They got 3 right here, Who knows?
Let me ask you this one, Tone, since I know you're a big horse player and I've seen you cash some big tickets. For starters, what's the biggest one you've hit? I know you've had some good ones.
The biggest one that I've hit, the coolest one, is with the $18,000 in change on a $1 quick pick ticket, and it was in the Bell.
You should have quit right then and there.
Yeah, so that was 2000. It was the Tatari year, and it was a dead heat for 3rd and 4th, and that was the biggest score easily from like dollars to donuts type of thing. Caught a good pick 5 last year, but it was an expensive ticket. It was probably like a $300-$400 ticket. It ended up hitting for like 12-13 grand on that.
What I ask you with this one is that do you kind of hedge it all in the final leg, or do you if there was a cash out, Ivan, would you ever take any of those options? Horses are different for you, right?
No, horses are different because here's the other thing. Like when I'm playing those pick 4s and pick 5s, I typically have 3 or 4 horses in the last leg. So if I'm getting to the last leg, I have a few horses in that race. And so I won't do it in that situation. The other thing is it's a gut thing for me sometimes. It's like, fuck it. Or like, I'm riding it out, or it's like, take your medicine here. It really does depend. But with horses, no, never.
There's no more, oh my God, feeling than the single leg though, because you always got to have one leg singled, right?
So a friend of mine, you do. You definitely how you construct your tickets matters. And like the reason I had this bigger ticket was because it was Breeders' Cup. And obviously there's a lot more horses in play. And basically you win anything in those kinds of races, you're getting paid out.
I had my best horse racing. I was on the verge of like, this is going to be bad. Because I remember putting in, this is again, back in the day, putting in all my bets at an OTB and just being, okay, we're just going to sit back and watch the rest of the day.
That's it.
I hadn't won anything for the first 2 days. I just remember that the big race that I hit was Caleb's Posse rallying back from the pack to fucking take down Shackelford and Trap Shot. I could still hear the call in my head, and here comes Caleb's Posse. He looks like he jumped in at the quarter pole, and he's going to romp in the dirt mile. And then I had this horse Hanson in the fucking juvenile, and like all of a sudden I went from having like the worst day possible to like, holy shit, we've got some money today. Like
what me and my buddies say, only takes one in horse racing. You get one pop, you're ready. I mean, it's degenerate as that sounds, but the way you bet, I'm not betting fucking 3 to 5s. We're betting 5 to 1.
Nah, dude, you can't. It's sick, especially at Saratoga. Of course, although the one day I went to Saratoga was when fucking Chalk City just came across. Where they're sitting there like, no, we're going to throw out the favorite in this one, and it's like, cool. There's a $9 exacta.
They'll definitely get you. I'll tell you what, one of the grosser things in all of horse racing happened actually today at Keeneland in the 8th race. To end the pick 5, this horse. So there's, for people who don't know, there's 2 finishes at Keeneland.
I've been to Keeneland. And Keeneland, they don't know how to handle New York horse players there. Like, they looked at me like I was the biggest fucking psycho ever.
Dude, this horse is coming. I'm going to show you this. I don't know if you can see it. But this horse, all right, is coming down. He thinks he wins, and he's just trotting out. I don't know if you can see this.
I can see it now, yeah. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
He thinks the wire was the last wire. So crazy how that works. But a friend of mine lost a chunk on that. He had that 9 to hit the pick 5, and that's how he lost.
I just remember being there, meeting some guy from Louisiana, and he's like, "You're from New York? I hear y'all play these rolling doubles." Like, it's like I'm like, amongst many other things, my friend. Like,
yeah.
But no, then the most ridiculous one. I was at Belmont, very, very, very intoxicated, very lifted up, we'll just say, when California Chrome fucking was there. I had every horse. I had Tonalist and I had whoever. I think Commissioner finished second.
Oh yeah, Tonalist.
I had both of them across the board for big money. I had like a stack of tickets like this, like a fucking maniac. Guess the one exacta I didn't bet.
Oh my god, you didn't have it.
And even worse was the worst were the big horse racing events. I'm there, and we had the bus we took down, and like I'm thinking, like in my delusional head, I got to get back there soon. There's some fucking asshole who was asking the teller to check every 10-cent super that he has. I wanted to fucking grab him by his head and just smash him into the counter. Just please, because I had like a couple hundred to cash still. It was awful. But just real quickly, we got to end on one thing. Fantasy baseball league, is it still going?
So it is. There are some people, it's a little bit modified though. I'm the fucking worst fantasy sports player on the planet.
I'm done with fantasy. I'm done.
I hate it so much, and I think I've tried to quit this league 6 times, and I
finally did. I remember I just had to be an asshole to get out of that league. If you guys wanted to do it during the COVID year, and I'm like, you guys can't make me do this for half a baseball season. And then sure enough, the biggest thing is the Cardinals fucking went to a casino allegedly and all got COVID. And I'm like, yep, this is why I didn't want to do this.
The league is still going on. The New York Tonys we're rebuilding.
You were the Tone shows, I thought.
I changed it. I think to the Tone. I don't know. It changes. New York Tonys, Tones Tanks, Big Tone here. I got a bunch of different ones. All I know is I suck. And here's the other thing too. It's a lot to keep up with. I fucking wish it was Roto. It's not.
Roto's the best. It's the only way to play. I'm only one league, and I'm still not even sure I want to do it anymore.
So I don't know, but yeah, it's going good. And I will say this: I wish Glaber Torres hit on my fucking team like he has the whole back half of the season here. I mean, that guy's at 310 right now.
For me, it was Pete Alonso. If Pete Alonso just fucking got his 40 home runs, I would have finished in the money.
Oh, fucking.
And he hit part of there. But the reason I brought that up, Tone, is that actually our very first introduction, when you say it's funny you're the worst fantasy player, you were the worst negotiator ever. And that's where we had a little bit of a rift one time. I remember just not even knowing. You're like, yo, dude, you got to trade me Kipnis. And I'm like, do I? And
yeah.
We started going back and forth over Jason fucking Kipnis.
I'm a salesman, dude. I was just assuming the sale off the rip, and I was just trying to. You were the new guy on the block. I had to see what kind of stones you had. See if I can get.
I stand tall, and I'm a sale. I wasn't a sales guy at the time, but I am now. But seems like things are going great. I love seeing all the videos out there. The Big Tone shtick. It's a great thing. I mean, you got a decent following for some guy that just fucks around on his phone. So that's awesome for you.
Yeah, it's been fun, and like you said, yeah, random. Obviously, it just kind of I didn't think I would get as many followers as I have right now. But
and I must say, you fucking have a hell of a golf swing too, man. You got that big. You got the Trump swing.
No, he's got my swing.
Okay, then we'll go on that one. But no, I can crush them off the tee, man. I could probably put them out there with you, but then everything else afterwards, go fuck yourself.
Well, that's the one thing about being a big guy. Everyone's like, you must fucking kill it. It's like, I don't know. I mean, yes, but I have friends who are 200 pounds heavier, they're 200 pounds lighter than me, and hit it just as far. Like, I played pretty decent this year. I could knock it out there, but I love playing it. Like, you gotta
play with the right people. But I'll tell you, when I moved back from Rochester to Albany, the fucking golf quality fell down so bad. Like unless you have an in to get tee times around here, I don't have it in me to play 4.5 hour rounds.
Yeah, you've got to go.
And I'm a ginger in the sun. It never works out good.
Yeah. I thought roofing in the summer was tough, as Bill Burr said. If you go golfing around here, you have to go early because everyone wants to play. There's only so many nice days. You have to go, and you have to go early so your fucking day's not shot. Because to your point, no one wants to be out there for 6.5 hours. It's miserable. It gets hot. And then you are. So I like to go, 7:30, 8 o'clock, or I'm going at like 5, 6 o'clock and play at 9. Come July, August, you have to go early. It's fucking hotter than a Ugandan jail cell out there.
Very
11
nice.
o'clock. So.
Well, Tone, maybe we'll have to get together for a round, or we'll meet up at the Rivers. But this is a good chat. I loved it, man, and we'll be in touch, obviously. And I'm gonna be getting ready for the game. So let's go Mets. Let's go Runs, and let's hope for some fireworks tonight.
Thanks for having me.
It's a good thing I quit my ways, because there's no way that in the way that I was as fucked up as I was, I wouldn't be emulating Harvey Keitel and the Bad Lieutenant right now.
Fair enough.
All right, Tone, it's been real. You can find him on Twitter, Big Tone here. He's on Nikki's Smoke Shop. That's another show you guys do that I I actually didn't know where to find it until you sent me that link there. I was like, do you guys do it exclusively on Twitter?
We do it live at 10 a.m. Eastern on it's on Twitter, and then he puts it on YouTube as well. It's but yeah, live on Twitter, 10 a.m. It's been good. We've been getting a lot of good interactions. I'll tell you what, I do it with Nick for Barstool and Vic Monty, and they're both clipping at over 60% right now. So they're
nice. Dude, Vic is fucking. I was hoping to get him at some point because he still is responsible for one of the funniest fucking tweets I've ever seen in my life.
He's hilarious.
The one where there was a fucking shooting in Asia or something like that. You hear all this horrible noise, and his reply was just going, "Oh, great, my wife thinks I'm watching porn again."
Yeah, exactly. He's a beautiful fucking person. He cracks me the fuck up.
You guys are straight out of Central Casting for fucking Yankee fans, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. I'll tell you what. I tweeted out the other day or yesterday. Somebody, big content guy or somebody's putting all these fat guys out, like, yeah, we say your name and they acknowledge us, and it just made me laugh so much. Just like, yeah, that's basically the fan base right there. So, hey, listen, I appreciate you having me on. It was fun. Let's go get some bets in.
All right, let's go. Let's cash some tickets.
Go.
All right, I gotta hit this and.